we have to do quite a bit of learning, and there is a lot to learn. And since, as I have mentioned, that today will be a bit more intense compared to last day, so there will be chances that it won't be possible for me to again show you the code, or else we won't be able to finish it on time. So that's why this time I will make sure to give you the code beforehand, so that just in case you couldn't follow along, or if you have an error in your code, you can just copy paste it from the GitHub website and run it. So without further ado, let's start today's session. Can everyone see my screen? Okay, thank you, Mukad-san, Yasmina. So as I have mentioned in my previous class, that today we will be learning about natural language processing, which is actually a subset of machine learning. So what is this natural language processing? I'm pretty sure it does. First, I would like to know, have you guys ever heard of natural language processing before? In the comment box or chat box, you can write yes or no's. Okay, I'm getting a mix of yes and no's, so no problem at all. If you've never heard about it, we will be learning it today. So natural language processing is basically the science of learning languages using machine learning or data science techniques. So it is basically whatever that I'm telling you guys right now. So it is working with techniques so that the machine or our computer, laptop, mobile phones, cameras, everything can understand that what we are saying. It can decipher that what we are saying, so that it is understandable by the machine itself, that it is being spoken a language. That is basically what natural language processing is. And what it does is it can interpret, it can read, it can even give us more information on how humans interact. A very common example of natural language processing will be ChatGPT, which I'm pretty sure most of you guys are familiar with. ChatGPT works with natural language techniques such as the transformer model. I won't go into details about what transformer models is or what the theory is. It's not relevant for today's class, but I just wanted to make sure that you know what it is. So with ChatGPT, no matter what you ask it, it will give you responses just like a human being would, but it will give you enhanced responses because it almost knows everything. Maybe not accurate, but it knows information. So it sometimes seems like you're chatting with a human being. So that is the power of natural language processing. So today, to make sure that whatever that we have done in day one, so that we can make the data ready for data modeling, which we will be doing in tomorrow's class, we have to use natural language processing techniques for it to work and make our data ready so that our machine can understand the language that we are giving it to the model. So it's very important to understand how natural language processing works. So first of all, we need to understand one topic, which is tokenization. So when, suppose you go out with your friends to have a box of pizza, or you get delivered a box of pizza to your home. So what do you do? Do you like eat the pizza all by itself? Like you have a round shaped pizza, and what you do? Do you just eat it like how you would eat an apple? No. You cut it into pieces. You slice it into pieces. You have the pizza slices, not the whole pizza itself. Maybe there are some people who do it, but most people prefer to have pizza slices instead of the whole pizza. So that is what tokenization is. So a whole sentence that you see, here you can see ChatGPT is a language model developed by OpenAI. What tokenization does, it breaks the entire sentence into words. So when you apply tokenization, it becomes ChatGPT becomes one word, is a language model developed by OpenAI. Why do we even do this? Why is it even needed to break down the sentence into specific words, into tokens? Here, the words means the tokens. Because when we are pre-processing, you will see it for yourself today. You will see that it is actually a pretty lengthy and intensive process. So when our computers, they are processing words, they are actually, what they're doing is they're eating up a lot of memory, and it is a pretty complicated process because the words are being converted into numbers and then being processed. So that is why it is important to make sure that the process is going smoother and easier for the computer to catch what we are saying. That's why tokenization is a very important process. So let's start. I would encourage everyone to go to the code file that we have, just in case you guys don't. Uh, Make sure that you are following the day one instructions, because the original file that we gave you in your emails for following along the code, if you don't make a copy in your Drive account and you start coding in the same link that we gave you, none of your progress will be saved. So it's very important that you follow along day one's recording and do as I say. So all the day one coding that we have done, what we have to do is we have to again run the cells. This is actually a bit of a problem um, of Google Colab, because you have to keep running the same thing again and again. But when you code in an actual environment, such as when you use VS Code or PyCharm, none of these things happen. But since we're using Google Colab, we have to like work with it like that. So guys, I hope you're following along. So in the day one, you have to run all the codes again. So run all the cells, follow along with me. I'm already in step two. So just run them so that they are initialized and we can start working. Okay. So whatever we did till day one, run them. And if you are done, go forward and come to day two. When you are done running all the cells, and then come to day two. Yes, Joe Bida also gave us a good way to run them. So runtime, if you also click on runtime and run all, it will automatically run all the cells. But yes, it's okay, Mahima. You can do this as well. One thing that will happen if you do run all, I have actually written some code down below. So just because they are not initialized yet, you might get errors, but don't worry about those. If you guys are done running the cells, um, please write yes or no so that I can show you how to do the tokenization step. Okay, so since everyone is done, in step one, where we will be importing the NLTK library. I hope you guys remember what importing libraries mean. So I will dive right into it. Import NLTK. NLTK. Today we have to do a lot of coding. So if you guys can follow along, or you get lost in, or you get lost right in the midway, don't worry, I will be providing the code so that you can at least copy paste and get some output. So NLTK dot download in punkt, punkt, in singular bracket, in singular quotations, and then data. We will choose the review column here because that is the column which has all our texts, equals to Okay, so we are applying the word tokenize function here. So where did this word tokenize come from? It came from here. Look, from NLTK tokenize, we are importing the word tokenize function. So here we will be applying it to tokenize our column of reviews. So if you guys are done writing, let's run the cell. Let me check it again. NLTK, NLTK. Okay. Just saying it will take some time, almost 1.5 minutes, because it's a very long data set. And as I have mentioned, uh, that it will eat up a lot of the RAM. As you can see, it is already changing. See, it's already increasing, decreasing. So it is using up a lot of power and space in the file. So don't do anything, just sit tight and wait. It will automatically tell you when the tokenization process is done. So don't touch anything, don't do anything, just sit and wait. One thing about coding is that no matter which subfield you are in, whether you are in software engineering, data science, or machine learning, NLP, it is very important to have patience because coding truly tests how patient you are. Because when you are actually doing real coding or working on real problems, you will face thousands and thousands of errors along the way. So you cannot lose patience. So treat this as an exercise of what's about to come to you when you delve into real world coding. Okay. My tokenization process is done. Are you guys done as well? And for the ones who couldn't follow along, let me give you the link to the code of today. So I have given you the code. If you are getting errors or anything, you can just copy paste what I have given so that you at least get an output for now. So if you guys are done, if your tokenization worked, let me know. Okay. All right. Then let's see after tokenization how our data now looks. Has it been properly tokenized yet? And another thing, one thing that you always have to remember is that uh, okay, by this line, I mean that it should give me the output of the first row of the column. So when I write it in bracket 1, it will give me the first row. Word tokenized not defined. Did you attend the first class or did you run all the cells? If you ran all the cells, then it shouldn't show you this error. Okay. Yes, as you can see, the sentences have been transformed into specific words. So this is what we were aiming for. Okay. Is everyone getting the same output as this one? Okay. If you guys are getting errors, I would ask you to Jesse, Jesse, I don't think you ran the cells because if you get errors like this part is not defined, that part is not defined, that means that uh, either the code is missing or you have the code but you didn't run the cell because it is important to run the cell so that these are initialized into the code. All the code of day 1 and day 2 is given in the link that I just provided. So make sure you copy paste those if you are not following along. So, okay. So now what we have to do is one thing about text pre-processing. So when I say text pre-processing, it basically means I am just making the data clean. That's it. I know pre-processing sounds like some sort of very technical word, but it basically just means I'm cleaning the data. Just that. I'm removing all the irrelevant information or things that are just not needed for the model to analyze our data. So some of the things that we actually clean or remove are punctuation marks, numbers, stop words, which I will be explaining to you what it means. And we tend to convert our text into lowercase so that it is not computationally too heavy on our model. When I say computationally heavy, I mean that it is not using up too much space into of our model. That's why it is very important to ensure that the text that we are sending to our model, it is properly cleaned, it is properly ready for our model to be able to handle such large data. That's why data pre-processing is a very, very important step in data science. Like if you just directly put in the data into the model, first of all, the model is not going to work, and even if it does, you're going to get wrong results. So here, what we will do is we will learn a bit of how do we remove such things. So here you have to learn a bit of coding technique, which is the lambda x. This is a code that you have to write. What is this lambda x? It defines a function that takes a parameter. So functions we have learned, parameter, it can be defined as an x. And in this part, item for item in x, if item dot alpha, okay. It is a list which is inside that lambda function, which is x. So what it will do is it will go through each of the items in the list that we have and check if each item is alphabetic. So alphabetic means it has to be a, uh, uh, how do you actually write the code from GitHub? Just copy paste, Control C, Control V. Uh, and check if each item is alphabetic using the is alpha function method. So we will be using is alpha function to make sure that whatever our data has, these only contain alphabets, no punctuation marks, no symbols, no emojis, no numbers, nothing, because those are not important in our case. An item is the items that we have or the elements that we have in our function. And for item, for and the for thing, so for loop, I'm not sure if you've heard about it, but what the for loop does is it goes through all the elements that we have in our list and make sure that we are checking each and every single item that we have in our list. Okay. If if item is alpha, what it does is it is a conditional statement. So it is sort of like true or false. If the if the word is has alphabets, then we will keep it in the data set. If there are no alphabets, we are throwing away that thing, whether it's a symbol or a punctuation or a number. So it is sort of like a true or false statement, which checks it whether a word is alphabetic or not. Okay. So I'm sure everyone is like, what just happened? This is so difficult, or maybe a more clear example would be better. So what I did was I have taken a real world example, a real life, so that it is easier for you guys to understand. So when I say items, so imagine you have a list of people and their ages. So we have Alice, who is 25, Bob, 30, Charlie, 22. So the lambda function is like a rule for cleaning up the data that we have. So what it does was the code that I have written for Lambda, for each person's name, it only keeps the letters and ignores the numbers. So that is what our code will do. It will only keep the alphabets and the other things that we don't need, such as punctuations, numbers, it will throw it away. So what alpha function does is that it is sort of like a checker which checks whether the word that we are putting it, whether it has alphabets or does it have numbers. So we use it within that function to decide that if the characters in the name are the alphabets or not. So let's try to check that. Okay. I'm also sending it here. So let's see. Yes. So was everyone able to do the step? So let me repeat again what is happening here. So the words that we have tokenized just now, we have converted the sentence into words. What we are doing, that list of words, we are sending it to the is alpha function. So what the is alpha function is doing here is that it is checking word by word, are these words containing characters or punctuation marks or numbers. So the ones which are not characters, those are being thrown away from the data set. That is basically what this code is checking. So if you guys were able to do this part, let me know. Okay. So let's just check what the data now looks like. Yeah, as you can see that um, it doesn't really contain numbers anymore. And it's just words and no punctuation marks. That is what the data is supposed to look like. So what we will do now is we will try joining one sentence and see that what it actually looks like. Like this is it is giving us a short overview of what the data might be, but let's just check it for ourselves that whether did we even get our desired results. Not join data review. So let's see what sort of data we're getting now. Okay. Um, so this is the code that I have written. Let me give it to you. By the way, all the code is actually given in the link that I gave you, just in case the screen is not clear or you couldn't catch up. So if you can see it here, there is no punctuation mark nor any numbers. And that is the sort of output that we were going for. Yes. Was everyone able to get this part? So basically what I did was dot join. What it does is, uh, so as I have mentioned that the sentence is broken down into tokens. So basically it is broken down into words. When I click on the dot join, what it will do is it will go to the review column and then it will take the first row and the tokens which are broken down, it will again form it back into sentences so that we can check that whether we are getting the correct output or not. And one thing that I want to emphasize on is that no matter what sort of task that we're working on, it is very important to check step by step whether we are getting the correct uh, uh, whether we are getting the correct output or not. So that's why it is important to check every step, whether we are taking a small example, that whether our code is working or not. So now what we will do is we will uh, transform the data into lowercase letters only. No capital letters can be there. So here, just go to the next line. Oh, and one more thing I want to show you. When you click on when you click on when you give a hash, you can just write comments. So let me write one. This is where I will turn my code, in, turn my data into only lowercase numbers, lowercase letters. So writing comments is actually very helpful because, as I have mentioned in last day's class, is that you won't be working individually. While this is an individual task that I'm showing you, this is not a group project. You guys are here to individually learn, but when you are working in a real office or in a real setting, you'll be working in teams. Unless unless you are writing meaningful comments, your team members will not understand the what sort of code that you're writing. So it is very important to write meaningful comments while you're coding, or else everyone will get confused, like, what did you even do? So let's try to turn it into lowercase letters. Suggestions are already coming, so let me just use it. And one other thing I want to emphasize is on make sure all the brackets that you used, they're properly closed. So unless your brackets are properly closed, you will get errors in your code. So let me check if all my brackets are closed. Okay, this bracket is closed. This bracket is closed. If you can see that there is a small part being highlighted, which means that your brackets are closed. Let's see if this one is closed. Yes, this part. This one is closed. Yes, this one is also closed. So fingers crossed. Let's hope the code works. Okay, it worked. So if you guys are done, let me know. Okay, then let's just check how our data looks. So just write print data or just data. Let's see if we have any capital letters or not. Yes, as you can see, we don't have any capital letters anymore. All of them are in lowercase letters. Okay, since most of you guys are saying you're done, let me move on to the next part. So, stop words. What are stop words? Do they mean that I tell you to stop? No, nothing like that. Stop words basically mean that when we talk, uh, let me introduce myself. I am Raima, and I'm a computer science graduate who is teaching a data science course right now. Therefore, there were a lot of words in my sentences. If I didn't say them, you still would have understood that my name is Raima. I'm a computer science graduate and I'm teaching a data science course. So, what are those words? Filler words, basically. Well, for us to talk and make sense, those filler words are necessary, but for the model, they don't need those filler words anymore. So, those filler words are stop words. So, I have given a list of stop words A, and, at, be, and there's a long exhaustive list on what the stop words are. So if you are sure of what stop words mean, maybe I can show you that when when we try to put these stop words, when we try to do stop word removal, what it does is it removes the filler words that we have so that the load on the model is reduced. That is why stop words are removed, because the model doesn't need to know my name is Raima. It just needs to know I'm Raima. That's it. Not my name is Raima. Or like I go to school. It just needs to know what school is. That word. The most impactful words, those are the words our model needs to know. All the other information, it doesn't care, it doesn't need it. That's why we have removed punctuations, numbers, symbols, emojis, capital letters not needed, um, filler words not needed. So we are trying to make the data as clean as possible. Okay, let's try stop word removal. Import NLTK, NLTK.download from NLTK.corpus, import stop words and stop words to set. Oops, I have made typos. That's why it's appearing red. Set words dot words in English Okay, so here I have written the code. Basically, what I have done is I have imported the stop words module from the NLTK library. And what I have done is I have also imported the library and I have set the stop words, the words of the stop words to be in English. So it is important to specify which language that we're using. Here we're using English language, so we will be importing the English language. If you're using French, write French, or German, use German. And here I am doing the same thing, calling the Lambda function and checking word by word if those stop words exist in the tokenized data set or the data that we have. So it will check word by word whether the filler words exist. So the stop words are defined that you pass it along in a stop word data set that a, an, with, am, me, you. These are the sort of stop words we don't need. So it will check against that data set that whether there are stop words in the data that we have against the stop word that is defined by the NLTK library. So fingers crossed. Let's hope the code works. Let me check again for spelling mistakes or if I have not closed any brackets. Import NLTK download stop words from NLTK corpus, import stop words set Stop words, dot words in English. Let's see if the brackets are closed. Yes. Yes. In the review column, I'm applying lambda x. So for items in X, if item not in stop words. Okay. Okay. It worked. So let me provide you the code. So if you guys are done, let me know. Okay. Like one thing I would like to highlight is that I know I have given you the code of day 2 because we're doing pretty intensive stuff, but that doesn't mean that you'll just blindly copy paste and run the codes. It's very important that you understand how these things are working because when you are given the contest questions regarding data science that you have to solve, you won't be able to solve them unless you're actually understanding. Because, yes, we will try to keep it simple, but that we won't be giving the exact same questions or tasks that we are showing here. So make sure that you're learning properly, whatever that is being taught. Okay, since most of you guys have properly done it, let's take a 3-minute break or and rejoin at 10:45. How about that? Are you guys okay with it? Any yes or no's? Okay. Okay, sure. Let's join back at 10:45. Like, don't leave the call. Stay here. We will start again at 10:45. Okay. Thank you, guys.
Okay, everyone. We are in the process of taking a break. How's it gone so far? How do you guys feel? Forgive me, I've got a cat right here by me. Interesting, good, great. Are you guys able to follow along? All right, perfect. I'm so glad. Gotcha. Okay. So the nice thing about this project is it's something you can showcase on your resume and showcase on your LinkedIn. So one of the benefits of data science is that you're building this portfolio of your previous work. And if you guys look in the chat, you'll see that some of our HerWILL members are sending out the attendance form. The attendance form is through the chat. Please remember that attendance is required for your certification, as well as our feedback form. I suggest filling it out now while we're in the middle of a break. The feedback will probably be sent later on. Kira, could you go ahead and email us directly? If you missed the attendance form yesterday, go ahead and send us an email letting us know to HerWill Leadership, the same email that you got today's information from. Contact us directly and we'll be able to work with you. Thank you, Mukadza. If you are sharing these amazing projects on your LinkedIn or on any of your social platforms, I highly encourage you to tag HerWill. You can also find our socials in the chat. We're very active on LinkedIn. And the feedback form is now in the chat. So I suggest you guys fill that out while we're in the middle of the break as well.
I hope everyone is back and ready. If I get a lot of yeses, then I'll start. We only have one more topic to go. Okay, getting some yeses. All right. So we are almost at the end of today's session. Actually, I am very surprised and happy because you guys have caught on very, very well. I was actually a bit worried that maybe teaching you guys natural language processing at this level might be a bit too difficult, but it seems like you guys have wonderfully caught on. So you guys should be very, very proud of yourselves at this stage because natural language processing by no means is an easy topic, but most of you guys are not getting errors. You are understanding, you are being interactive. So thank you so much, everyone. So we will be actually finishing the session pretty early today. So give yourselves a pat in the back. So everyone, welcome to the last session of today's discussion and workshop. So the last topic that we will be learning, it's called Porter stemmer. I know it sounds a bit like a funny word, but it's actually a very important topic that we have to learn. So there are a lot of continuous words, such as I am eating, I'm running, I am swimming, I am drinking. But as I have mentioned, our machines, they don't need a lot of context like human beings. So we just need to give them a bit of the information that this is what our sentence means. So what it does is it chops off the continuous part of a word and just retains the main verb. So a bit of English language lesson going on here, but that is literally what natural language processing is. It uses a lot of rules of how our language operates, be it Bengali, be it English, be it French. So what the stemmer does is, the Porter stemmer, it finds the common root, the common word. So if it is running, it turns into run. If it is swimming, it is swim. If it is raining, it's rain. That's all the our machine needs to know. It doesn't have to know that it is raining. Just give it the word rain, it will know that it is raining. I mean, when we are talking to ChatGPT, do we just, at least I don't do it. I just tell it that generate me an email about asking for a leave. I don't give it that, oh, yes, I'm not feeling well today. My boss will be angry, or I'm not feeling in the best mood. I just write it, generate me an email, and for asking for a leave. I just get straight to the point and the machine understands perfectly. So that is exactly what we're doing. You guys are actually getting a, I would say, a very good rundown on how models like ChatGPT are built, the type of pre-processing model like ChatGPT goes through. So I would say you are getting a very well-rounded, well-advanced uh, teaching here. So make sure that you have your fundamentals right and strong at this stage. So that is basically what Porter Stemmer does. It simplifies the word. So rather than treating it as a separate entity or a continuous word, what it does is it brings it to the common base of the word. So it tries to find the commonality of what the word is. Because whether you ran, whether you're running, whether you're not running, if you just use the word run, the computer will understand what the context is. So that is exactly what we will be doing from, you know, oh, thank you so much, Maisha, for pointing that out. I was accidentally writing it under step 2, but it should be under step 3 because that is where we have introduced Porter Stemmer. So thank you so much, Maisha Rashid. Okay, so let's see if I have made any spelling mistakes or yes, lambda x is a function. So inside that function, we are passing the words which we have tokenized, which we have pre-processed. So in that, it will continue the Porter and Stemmer splitting or cutting of words inside the lambda function, which is the x function. Yes, it works like a loop because we're using for loop here. So data review equals to data. Let's see if I have closed all the brackets or not. Dot lambda x stem item for item in x. Yes, Porter Stemmer. Did I? Okay. Okay. So let me run it. Let me give you a bit of warning. It will run for a pretty long time, I think 2 minutes or more. So you have to be very patient. Make sure you're not running any other cell when this is running. So just sit tight and wait for the results to come. All right, guys, as I can see, my code has worked. It took me 1 minute 52 seconds, so almost 2 minutes. So I guess it will take some time for you guys as well. If you guys are done, let me know. And I'm giving you the code in the chat box for you guys to follow along. Okay, so I think somebody asked that how do we identify typos? So in most cases, what happens that because we are taking our sweet time, we're working slowly, so we can actually go and check line by line that whether our code is working or not. But when we are under deadlines or when we are actually in a job, we actually don't have the time to go and check that if each line is correct or not. So usually when you run the code, it gives you an error and it points out that this is the line which contains the error. If you're lucky, sometimes it doesn't even do that. But in most cases, since we are in the beginning stages, what it will do is it will directly point out that as some people were in the beginning of the session pointing out that they were getting that data was not defined or the libraries were not defined. So what they had to do is just run the code cell, which uh, they did, and their error was fixed. So usually when we get an error, let me show you a simple example, such as a equals to 3, b equals to 2, c equals to a plus b, print d. As you can see, the name D is not defined. I said that C equals to A plus B, but I have never written where is D. I did not establish that D represents what. So that's why it is giving me an error. It is directly pointing out. Can you see? Directly pointing out that this is where you have an error. So this is how you identify. And when you get used to coding, you will know by yourself that, oh, this is where I made a mistake. So it is all about intuition, having many hours of coding experience, years of coding experience. So just like any other natural process in the world, you have to be very used to it and you have to practice a lot. Like it doesn't matter whether you graduate from graduate from MIT or Stanford or any other university, unless you're actually practicing coding, you will never reach that level where you can code something seamlessly by yourself. So regardless of what your education background is, practicing is the only way to become a good programmer. That is the secret, that is the only way. Oh, typos in the data set. For the data set problems, maybe what you can do is maybe you can pass some code to change it, but uh, or you can manually change them as well. But those things, small typos in the data set, those won't really affect it because when you look at the bigger picture, is that there are thousands and almost 50,000 entries. So one small mistake or a typo won't affect the model at all because if the proper context is there, it will work. And it will be a bit different when you are looking at the data set now because we have done a lot of pre-processing. So punctuations were removed, symbols were removed, so many things were removed. So it may not make sense to you because it doesn't have to make sense to you. It is the model or it is your machine which will do the modeling, not you. So you have to make sure it makes sense to your machine. Therefore the data might not make sense to you right now, but as long as it makes sense to your machine, because when you do more advanced level of pre-processing or NLP techniques, you will see that these, at least we are seeing words right now, but when you do the advanced level stuff, you will see that these are just numbers or just symbols. You will get even more confused. So just for a little bit of typos, it's not a big deal. Therefore, yes, we have come to the end of day 2. So congratulations, everyone. Can we use Java for data science? There are cases where they use Java for data science, but it is not recommended because Python is like the official, not exactly official, but this is the language 99% of people use because there are libraries, there are modules, frameworks built specifically for making data science easy for you. So, if you want to try it out in Java, you can, but it's not recommended at all. R, yes, R is also used. Again, uh, R is mostly used by people who are in the biology field. So for computational biology, people use R a lot. But when I'm talking about mainstream data science, whether you want to work at the top tech companies such as Google, Facebook, Amazon, Microsoft, these companies, they're extensively using Python. So maybe you can learn R, but we want you guys to learn what is the industry requirement. So that is why we are teaching it in Python. Yes, we are actually learning it in Python. So it is important to follow what the industry is doing if you want to make sure that your work gets noticed or you also get a job as a data scientist or a data analyst. So I would recommend everyone to stick to Python rather than other languages. But if data science is not for you, maybe you can try other fields as well, such as software engineering, cybersecurity. There, Python is not that used extensively. And yes, efficiency, yes, C and C++. These are very good languages for software engineering or for web development, but for backend engineering. But for data science, I know Python may not be the most computationally efficient language out there when it comes to speed and the time complexity and whatnot. But they for any sort of AI related work or machine learning, data science, NLP, Python is the language to go because when you look at the official code that Google, Meta, Amazon, Microsoft, Netflix, they release, it is all written in Python. So, guys, it's very important to follow what the industry follows. So, yeah, about programming languages, that's all I have to say. And yes, Coursera is a good platform to learn, but I would also suggest you guys to not get into uh, one there is something called tutorial hell because you keep learning tutorials and tutorials and tutorials but you're not trying out projects or work by yourself. So unless you're doing something by yourself, you're not actually learning here. So make sure you try out projects or any passion projects that you have been dreaming of doing for a long time. So make sure you try those as well after learning the tutorials. Okay, so that's all for day two. I hope you guys have filled up the attendance form because, as Yasmina has mentioned several times, that unless you are attending all three sessions, you won't be getting the certificate. So it is very important that you attend all the sessions. Can you resend the attendance form, please? Mukatsa or Yasmina, can you please help send the attendance form again for our participants? Okay, thank you, Aninda. So, to go over everything that we have learned today, again, just to give you a refresher, what we did was we learned natural language processing uh, techniques for cleaning our data. So, first we did was we tokenized our data. What we did was turn the sentences into words so that it is easier for our machine to process the information. After that, using the is alpha function, we have removed punctuation marks, numbers, symbols, emojis, anything that is irrelevant for our model. And later, what we did was we don't need capital letters. Like our machines can't um, separate what is a capital letter or what is a lowercase letter. So, so that it is computationally more efficient for our model to run, we have turned it into lowercase only, and we have removed a lot of filler words, which is called the stop words, and we have applied porter and stemmer just to get the root of the word. So that is what we have done, and well done, everyone. You have caught up very well. And for tomorrow's class, tomorrow is the last class that we have. We will be applying our machine learning model to get results and see how our model is performing. Uh, After that, hopefully, you will have a great project to show in your resume. Thank you so much. Yasmin, I'll let you take over.
Of course, yeah. Thank you, Raima. Uh, so far, it's going so well. Thank you guys for your active participation and your hard work. As we've been saying a couple of times so far, you need to fill out your attendance and feedback forms. If you scroll through the chat, you can see that's been posted a couple of times. As for today's recording, it will be sent to you shortly in your emails from the HerWILL leadership emails. It's also posted on our YouTube channel, but we'll be sending you the recording shortly. Does anyone have any additional questions I can answer while I am sitting in front of you guys? If not, we're just going to open up the floor to make sure everyone finishes their attendance and feedback forms, and today's finished. So you guys are welcome to log out. Oh, one more thing. If everyone could just get on camera and smile so that we can take a screenshot for our socials, I would really appreciate it. Okay, just hop on camera and then make sure you smile. And our amazing HerWILL team is going to jump in. Makadza, if you don't mind doing it for us. Okay, thank you. Okay, perfect. Thank you guys so much. We're going to be continuously posting the attendance and feedback in the chat. Please finish it up before you guys log out. Please check your emails for a link to the recording. If not, you can always look up HerWILL on YouTube and we're the first thing that pops up.